Hello, DECA members. My name is Sarah Sunny. I'm the Texas DECA District 7 president, and today I have Miss Devika Dua here on me. I'm going to let her introduce herself. She's just basically, if you can just tell me her name, which I've already said, what grade you're in, how many years you've been in DECA, and just a few introductory things that you'd like everyone to kind of know about you.
Okay, great. Hi guys, my name is Devika Dua, also known as Dev nowadays. I'm Louisiana's Vice President of Leadership. I've been involved in DECA for almost 2.5 years now. Our club got DECA at the beginning of sophomore year, which was a while ago. But yeah, so I've been involved in DECA for that long, and I'm really excited to do the spotlight feature. I'm really excited to share my DECA journey because I believe it's very important for others to know about how I got here so that even if people who are not in DECA want to get involved, they can listen to stuff like this and find motivation.
So yeah, this is the first spotlight that we're doing, and I literally could not have chosen a better person to come on and do this. I've genuinely seen the amount of work that you put into really connecting with people on every single level. I mean, when I first started my DECA account, you were extremely very sweet to me, and that meant a lot to me. So, I thought you were the absolutely best person to kind of just introduce to members and be the first person and the first guest on this new series. So, as I've mentioned previously to you and just in general, my account, I really focus on connections and communication. So, today we're just going to have a conversation, kind of get to know a little bit about you. And really interestingly, my favorite thing when I walk in to teach somebody about DECA is to start off with, especially when talking to other leaders, is to start off with your DECA journey. And it's very different for every single person. It's personal to a lot of people. A lot of people had a hard time joining if they were very shy or whatever that might be. So obviously, we know that you are the vice president of Louisiana DECA, which congratulations, that's such a huge
Thank
honor.
you.
And so I'm just going to start off with just, tell me where you started. Just what was it like going into your first classroom? I mean, you mentioned that you got it sophomore year, so, a little bit different for other kids. I know it's different from my chapter, so walk me through it.
Awesome. Okay, so I joined DECA coming in as someone who wanted to get more exposure to things that could make me step outside my comfort zone and talk more because the majority of my extracurriculars just dealt with doing stuff on my own and not really connecting and networking with people. And so I thought that DECA could give me the opportunity to not only expose me to many different career fields like within business, but also talk to people. And so I went to my first state conference. I got first. ICDC just happened to be virtual that year, unfortunately. So I didn't get that much of an opportunity to network, but I did get to meet some of the executive officers. I got to meet my fellow state officers. It was a pretty good experience. Towards the end of my sophomore year, I still have the same position as I did in that year too, but towards the end, I started an initiative, as most of you may already know, on my Instagram account called Hear My Momentum. And basically, it was built off of the theme of that year, maximize your momentum, that it got released right after in ICDC. So right after ICDC, virtual ICDC, I said, okay, how about I do a theme that deals with the actual national theme? I thought it was a cool idea. So I did Hear My Momentum. Thank you. And I basically contacted a few people to come and talk about their competitive event that they've excelled in, that they've gotten an award in. And I think that starting this initiative was a great way to boost myself up and my platform up internationally, or more realistically, nationally, online. Because I mostly, it was just in person talking. The only people I talked to in person were my fellow state officers. But the way that I got recognition, the way I could network with other people was by starting this initiative. And so it was huge in not only my DECA journey, but also for everyone else who wanted help with their competitive events. I got really good feedback. And so it was a great initiative. I'm seeing that other people are starting to start series now too, just like you. And I'm really happy that, this kind of kicked off. So that happened. And then the summer happened. I didn't do much in the summer because it's super busy. But then I got reelected as vice president of leadership in this March. And so this year I was really dedicated to DECA. I was more dedicated because I got to go to ICDC right after, and I was completely motivated, and I was networking with people, and it completely changed my perspective on life. And so it got me really motivated to start initiatives and stuff. So I've definitely led a lot of projects in our association. They're still in progress. So one of them is starting chapters across our state. because although it's a very basic initiative, it's also something that's essential to Louisiana DECA, considering that's one of the smallest associations out there. So I get to lead projects like that. We're just working on an advocacy project right now. So lots of great things going on. But on the bigger spectrum, how DECA has changed me is that I live in rural Louisiana. I live in the Bible Belt. So it's not, I don't, there's not much diversity.
Mhm.
There's not many people who I can talk to who have the same ambitions, the same interests. And so when I joined DECA, and I found that those people on a national level, it completely changed my life. I never had that kind of exposure before. And having that exposure changed me and my perspective in my town and my other extracurriculars as well. So DECA, that leadership position, that simple leadership position that I thought did not mean much, but now it means so much to me, really, really changed my life. And so I think that coming into DECA as someone who you don't know what career you want to go into, or you don't know what you're expecting out of this position, it's going to end well. Just go out, make that Instagram account, talk to people, network, and I promise you it's going to be awesome.
Right.
So,
And I have to say, you were definitely one of the first people that I saw when it comes to DECA accounts. I think it was you and maybe just a few other people, which is why I actually contacted you after your series had picked up a little bit. It got very popular. I think you even had Rajan on, which is incredible. And
mhm.
so I saw a bunch of those things and I was like, okay, so I was always very interested in kind of telling people kind of why we did so good. And I think at that point, um, I was feeling a little bit insecure. After freshman year, we had gotten fourth at ICDC. Now, granted, it was virtual. And so at a lot of points, it was very hard to kind of understand, did we deserve it? What was it? Because you can kind of get into tricking your brain about a lot of different things when it comes to competition, and particularly with DECA, because there's so many talented kids that you start to feel like, did you deserve a leadership position, or did you deserve getting an accolade that you received? And so one of the first ways that I was like, okay, what is a way that I can either quantify or show substantially that I have learned something in this organization that translated into our original big thing that we got, which was being in the top 10 our freshman year. And so that series, Hear My Momentum, was the first time where I was able to kind of talk to people that I didn't know and just say, here's what I learned. And the fact that there was comments and there was people who started contacting me saying that I'm interested in DECA and your video helped me learn that. And so that kind of really encouraged me to start my account. And obviously, I think you were definitely one of the first people who really started the idea of doing series in general. So while this one's a little bit different, it gives the opportunity for somebody like you to talk about why you started what you did. And I definitely think that leadership positions propel you into knowing so many different people. So 100% agree with everything that has to come with that. And you know what? Let's just get into the stuff that a lot of people want to hear about, which is, what have you competed in? What were things that you've gotten? You mentioned that you got first, I believe, at your SCDC in
Mhm.
Louisiana. So funnily enough, my grandparents are from Louisiana. So I was like looking at what school you were at, and I was like, I haven't heard of that school. And it's
No,
my
really,
grandparents,
really tiny.
right? They're in New Orleans. They're like, a little bit more main city, but I was like, so for me, I don't necessarily always realize what the smaller associations are, especially if they're right next to Texas. I'm like, no, that's big. It's Louisiana. I know them. But at the grand scheme of things, I think that you've really made a difference in your association, because I consistently see Louisiana now. Not even just as somebody who has relations to it, but like genuinely speaking, when I think about associations, one of the first few that I think of is Louisiana, because I know that you and people on your team have continued to make a difference by involving members. And so, it's easy sometimes to come from a large association like Texas and to have those opportunities. My district alone that I am in charge of has over 3,000 members. So it's
Wow.
easy for me. There's 15,000 plus members in all of Texas. It's very easy for me to see it and be like, well, I don't understand necessarily first-handedly why it's harder for some chapters and some associations. But you talking about this and also just meeting with people at ICDC, it really gives you a grand scheme of just how large DECA is and also how small it can be. So And it is a very small world. The amount of people that you see consistently, if you're a new member, you will notice that very fast at conferences, that you see people that you literally just saw online a second ago and they're in front of your face. Now, it's wild how small and how big DECA can be, but genuinely speaking, and I feel like I haven't said this enough, but like you have made a difference. And I think sometimes within the inside, it's hard to see if you have made a difference or not, to just kind of look at your account, to be critical. I mean, I know I've done this. I've been critical about posts I've made. Was that the first post? Was that good enough for to get my name out there? Am I marketing myself correctly? And I mean, it's great that we get the skills through DECA to learn all of those things, but we're very hypercritical of ourselves. So like I was saying, I was being very insecure when I started my account on am I good enough for these things? But I think that the work I put on my account, talking to other members, talking to you, and just I think it's all about hard work at the end of the day, especially
Mm-hmm.
with DECA. So it paid off. That's why we did get
Right.
that trophy. So still quite shocking, but it
Mhm.
I mean it took me a second to actually be able to say to myself that I deserved it. So it takes a second, and I don't know if that's the same for you because you were definitely showing potential way before. So you can easily probably say that you deserve that position because I can say it for you. But it is hard to kind of think about that for yourself. And I know with new members, they're a little bit scared and timid to kind of accept that they're good at something. So yeah, I think the next thing I want to quickly talk about was your awards and just kind of what you compete in. So we'll go into that.
Mhm. Okay, first, I just want to say thank you so much for all of those kind and sweet words. It means a lot. And about the insecurity thing, I totally get it. At first, starting off here on Memento, just putting my face out there and recording myself and doing like an impromptu little like speech about what it's about, I was like really, really scared. Nobody really knew me outside of my association. And so getting myself out there was big. And like I constantly looked at my follower account. I was looking at my profile. I was like, is this enough? Is this good? I looked at others and I was like, oh, look at them. They're so high up there. I would compare myself. It's very easy to compare yourself to people who have already reached your goal, basically. But it's important to know that everyone has their own pace, their own journey. And that's what's special about DECA, that it allows you to take that time and resources to do your own thing at your own pace. So, on to awards. I competed in Principles of Business Administration my first year. I got first in that and competed at ICDC. And then this year I did Human Resources Management and got first in that as well. But I have to say, the competitive events, for me at least, compare nothing to my leadership position, especially considering the fact that I'm not considering a career in business. Um, but I still do think that DECA is a place that no matter what you do, whether you compete, whether you hold a leadership position, or whether it's on a chapter level to the national level, you can pursue whatever career you want. That's what's special about DECA. It's that organization that prepares you for any career or any field that you want to go into. And I made sure to highlight that through, especially in ELS. In that membership video, the membership promo, I wanted them to know that DECA is a place where you can do, like, literally prepare yourself for any career. It's not secluded to business, because I would meet people at school who would say, I don't want to join. This is a business club. I don't want to do business. And I said, I don't want to do business either. My whole entire life, I've like
Absolutely.
just stayed on the fact that I don't want to do business.
Right.
But I joined because I knew that it had potential to expose me to people, to network, to make connections, because it's not just competing, it's way more than that.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. And funnily enough, before we actually started filming, I actually told her that I have scrubs behind me. I want to go into medicine. And so my favorite thing, so we have a little something called Kit Camp at my chapter. It's basically just a freshman boot camp where students can kind of come in, get their schedules, learn about clubs. That's where we shine, because we're DECA. Now, to be fair, we're probably a little bit annoying to the other clubs just because we're very loud, very big. We have all the trophies, but we try to get members in. And the first thing that we usually start with is what are you interested in? And if they say they don't know yet, perfect. Because there's so many ways that you can learn about your career interests. You have fashion, you have automotive services, it's a wide variety of things. And if you do know, I met somebody who wanted to go into engineering and they thought that DECA wouldn't be a good fit for them whatsoever. And it's very interesting to kind of see that now and think, how did I ever actually assume that could be the case? Because for me, business is already a very broad term. business can mean a lot of different things. It already encompasses such a wide umbrella scope of so many different skills that for me and my team, we implemented medicine into our projects. It was as easy as that to really just kind of transform it into what you need it to be. That's what I love. I
Right.
mean, I wouldn't use the word
Exactly.
right. I wouldn't use the word manipulate, but in a sense, you're manipulating events to help you get to your end goal. And there are statistics out there, especially with, I mean, I know for a fact that Texas DECA has some of just the main careers that DECA students will go into. Health is at one of the top of them. There's IT, there's so many different things. And Devika, so what do you want to go into?
So at first, actually, all to the point of ELS, that recent, I was considering a career in STEM, specifically neuroscience, kind of like the biology pre-med route. Pretty standard Indian American deal. Um,
Okay.
I was I was definitely looking for ways that I could incorporate my interest in STEM within DECA. And that you're talking about the engineering thing, I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, if Rajan's watching this, but I think he wants to or is pursuing engineering. And
He
so he
is,
competed
yeah.
in, yes,
I think he did
automotive
comp sci
services
too.
marketing.
I think he did comp sci
Really?
too. I don't know. He said he
Wow.
might potentially doing a double major. I could be wrong. So if you are watching this,
Mm.
you can comment if I'm wrong. That's fine.
Yes, please do.
And the funny
But
thing is,
yeah,
I said neurosurgery
really?
and you said
That's
neurology.
crazy.
That's crazy.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But yeah, he was thinking of a career in engineering, but he did DECA and he did automotive services marketing. He got third place internationally. So that's huge. Like how you were saying, you can do whatever you want in DECA. I did struggle with incorporating my interest in biology
Mhm.
within DECA. I do believe that there was definitely stuff I could do. I guess more on the public health spectrum. Like if
Right.
I wanted to start a community service project in partnership with a uh, medical nonprofit, we have a few of those in our town, anything like that. There was definitely a way for me to go about it. But by the time I could get to that, my interest had changed to political science. And that was late July. So I have
Why
like
are
now,
you why are you literally the same person as me? Because I was struggling
really?
between law and medicine, which I
Oh
know is
my gosh.
very standard before anybody goes like, oh my God. But like I genuinely was interested in both of them and I didn't know what to do.
Wow.
Like anybody from my chapter can tell you that. So that's sorry, that's really fun.
No, you're good. But I would have to say that it's much easier to incorporate my interest in political science within DECA because now I'm doing an advocacy project. I haven't told many people about it because we're still working on developing it. And but basically, it really incorporates all of my interest in political science that I've gathered from doing these programs and stuff. I did Girls Nation from Girl State, so
Mhm.
we did congressional debates, we did Parley Pro, and literally where I'm incorporating the skills that I learned there, the connections that I made there with my senators and representatives to like within deck. And I think that's absolutely phenomenal. Like they at ELS, they really emphasize advocacy, and that's what we're working on right now. And so I'm incorporating my interest in political science within DECA. And so, like I said, like you can literally incorporate any field. And if you are looking for ideas for STEM, I can help you with that. I'm not saying that I didn't pursue STEM because I didn't think there was anything that I could do. There is definitely stuff you can
Right.
do regardless of what career. So
Absolutely. And, just in general, if you have questions, always contact, especially your state officer team. They always know what they're going to talk about. But if you have questions that
right.
you feel more comfortable coming to us about it, we're always here to help. And I think that's my favorite thing about tech is community. So the fact that we can be very real with each other is extremely, extremely important, is unlike any other organization I've truly been in. And obviously we know that DECA prepares you for a lot of different things. It provides you with a lot of different skill sets, public speaking, analytical abilities, the idea to go in front of somebody and talk to them. And really, I mean, a lot of people would look at both of us. We're talking very naturally, very confidently to one another and assume that we've always been that way. And I have been quite extroverted for a lot of my life, but I will say it was not necessarily always comfortable with speaking in front of others and saying vulnerable things like the fact that I was insecure about things.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's hard to share that. And so when it comes to new members, especially since we're starting the new year and seeing chapters arise and all these different things, and even our personal chapters are getting new members, you start to see kind of the way that you felt at the very beginning come to surface again every single year. It's the same thing. And I just want to let this out there that it is okay to be nervous and it is okay to be scared, because I guarantee you that when you're at ICDC, which you guys will make it, and you're about to go into competition, you're about to pee your pants. Like, everybody's nervous alongside with you. And,
Sure.
for me, funny story, before finals for ICDC, we were a little bit thrown off by, I think we presented in front of someone and we were just a little bit thrown off. I mean, the person's critiques weren't wrong. It was just, we were right before competing and we just weren't prepared to hear a lot of the things that could have potentially been changed, and it threw us off. And we had said in our officer group chat, we were like, we're nervous, we're about to go compete. They gave us a pep talk. Our advisor said, don't worry about it. You guys have already made it this far. At this point, you don't need to change anything, because I mean, there's a certain point where there's no point in changing anything. It's better to just go with what you've prepared. And so there's a lot of things that happen in the moment. You're nervous, you're scared, there's adrenaline pumping, and it just happens to everyone. And also on that note, I know that there are a lot of members that are going to see me bring up people in this series that are leadership roles, and that's only because these people know what they're doing and they have the ability to share their insight in a way that some members may not be able to. But that does not mean that you have to be a leader in DECA in this capacity to enjoy it, to be significant, to be an important person. Because my favorite thing also to talk about is the fact that we all have different roles. Every single person a part of a team has a completely different role. Now, I've and you have assumed the idea of being a leader. It's just something that works for us. But some people need to be, the work has to be delegated. You have to tell them and they'll get it done. And those sometimes are the most reliable people. They're the people that are going to get the work done and are going to make sure that it is done correctly. So
I think, sorry to interrupt, but I think a very notable example of someone, his name is Xavier. I forgot what association he's from. I'm sorry for the shade, but he is a chapter officer and he has done absolutely phenomenal things. He started a website for his own chapter. He has done wonderful projects for them. There's also another one. He was featured in virtual ELS. I also forgot his name, but that's he's also very phenomenal. He was on One Deca too.
I think so. Am I
Oh
wrong?
yes, Xavier was on One Deca.
Yeah.
This past call. There was also another leader who did this MDA fundraiser. It was a marathon. It was huge. Like
Right.
it had a huge impact.
There are
And
ways to make
he did it from a chapter position. And literally, no matter what level you are, you can do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do get intimidated by the fact that, well, to be important or to make things change or to, get my voice heard, I have to be in a leadership position, whether at the district, state, international level.
Right.
And that's not necessarily the case. And, there are people that I have met and who I have talked to who have talked about potentially running for a position. And after they, really got down to what it was, they said, okay, I want to make a difference, but I don't think this is where I can shine. And you have to, I think that's just something that you have to be able to realize. For some people, it's going to work. For some people, there are better ways for them to really make an impact on this organization and on teens and on high school students. So I think that's a really important point, just to kind of, whoever is listening, whether you be the executive vice president,
that would be so awesome.
whatever it was, whoever's listening, whether you be a first-year freshman member, just know that there is always a spot for you in DECA, and especially with emerging leaders that we have right now, especially this year, I'm very confident that there's always going to be someone there to help you out. So,
for sure.
Segue, we're going to go on to just a little bit fun, just because we just hit some deep stuff. Let's just talk about memories. The funniest things that you've done, sometimes even the weirdest things, whatever it may be. And trust me, every single DECA member has funny stories that are absolutely outrageous. And if you're first year, then you're going to learn that very soon. There's always like a weird thing that a chapter does or a state does that is different. So go ahead, talk to me about it.
This is hard. This is really hard. Funny things. I wasn't there for this one, but it was definitely said to a lot of people at ICDC. The advisor of my association at ICDC, he like our flight was kept getting delayed, so we weren't there whenever this was happening. But he forgot his suitcase. Like they went to the wrong hotel first. They first went to the wrong hotel. It was a DoubleTree Hilton or something. They went to the uptown one instead of the
Yeah.
downtown one. Then he ended up leaving. They came all the way back to downtown. Then he remembers that he leaves his suitcase. So they go all the way back to get the suitcase, and then they come back. And then after that, after they get settled and stuff, they realize they need to go to Publix, which is like, you know, like a grocery store
Right
to
next
get
to
something.
the house.
And yes, it was a great resource in ICDC. But he goes there, and when he comes out, he's dragging a cart behind him in the wrong direction. Like the cart's
Oh
not moving. He's just like bringing behind him across
my
the
God.
crosswalk. It was like some kind of jaywalking move or something. But like everyone was like, all the officers were on one end, and he was just
Oh
trying
my
to drag the
God.
cart. It was some kind of mess.
That's very
But
funny.
they ended up not doing anything that first day. They got there at 9 a.m. They did absolutely nothing until we reached there late at night because their advisor.
Did you guys leave the day before, like the official start date, or did you guys leave the day of? I mean, you're an
we
officer, so you might have
yeah,
left
we left the day before, and our flight was early in the morning, but it
yeah.
kept being delayed and delayed and delayed. And so we ended up coming at night. So that's one thing. But generally, I can't think of anything else.
Well, I'll say something.
Good
Yeah.
memories though? Oh my gosh, everything. ICDC. Go
Everything.
ahead.
So, I mean, there are a lot of like public memories that everyone kind of knows about. Obviously, there was Waffle House, there was a bunch of
Yes.
different stuff, which everybody can relate on. But we mean, so our chapter has the best advisor. I'm sorry, guys, but he's absolutely hysterical. And basically, I think last year we hadn't. So we have our school store, SBE, and the DECA officers have shifts at it. So if you're late to your shift, not a good thing. So we had an officer who was he was late to his shift, and I think he like came and then he left. I don't know exactly what was going on. So we had like this funny team or whatever. We were all in there, and he gets like a megaphone, goes out into the hallway through the entire school and is yelling this officer's name, saying, "You are late to your cave shift," as a joke, obviously. But he's just he goes all the way upstairs, all the way downstairs, goes to the theater department, to the auditorium, yelling for this kid. And I mean, people are used to just us being crazy at this point, but it was like I have a video of it, absolutely hysterical. And I got to do an ICDC one because you did one. So, what do I say? Well, there was a lot like it just at Publix. Everybody was getting these huge water containers, like just like the big
Right,
ones.
right. I was so dehydrated at ICDC.
But people were
Oh
just
my God.
carrying them on top of their heads. Yeah, I mean our chapter was. And then
Right.
what else? So at Six Flags, um Texas has a lot of buses, but just in general, all the buses are nearly identical and they are all parked next to each other. There has
Mm.
to be like 70 buses right next to Six Flags. So we're leaving and we spend a good 30 minutes trying to find this one bus that'll take us back to our hotel because they all
Oh
have
my God.
colored sheets on them. So you don't know until you have to go to the front of the bus and they're all parked next to each other. So we're just walking there and it is hot. It is hot. And I'm wearing leggings too. It was not a good decision. So I
Mm.
was walking through there and then we had like kids that were late, had to go in an Uber. It was crazy. But maybe not as funny as your advisor.
I'm sure that the
Well,
officers that were there could tell you a lot more about it because they would not stop laughing that
it's
night. So,
hysterical. It's really funny. And our flight was the day before at like 6 a.m. too. So
yeah.
early flights. Whew,
Oof.
I
No.
know. So I think we're almost done. It tells me I have 7 minutes left. I actually just saw
Yes.
Zoom cuts me off at 40 minutes now, and it's very disappointing because I can't talk as long as I want to, but that's
If
okay.
you're I don't know, if you talk to your advisor or someone, you can ask for them to buy Zoom
So we thought
premium.
that
I'm
our
not sure
district
what it
had it.
is.
I think our district had a premium in the middle of COVID, and now they just got rid. It's not working.
Oh
So
no.
I don't know. That's
Oh.
okay.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
we let's just end off with a few very good things. I will say again, just based on DECA journey and the way that it works, I never expected to be where I am
Same.
at all.
Absolutely same.
At all.
Yes.
It's not something that you go into and you're like, I am going to be the president of the largest district in Texas, DECA. That is never something that I thought would happen.
Yeah.
And then, well, I think the only reason I even applied was because my advisor had enough faith in me to make me. So we don't do, at our school, we don't do vice presidents of certain divisions. We just have it as written event, or I guess prepared event, and role play officers. And then we have a vice president and a president. So
Mm-hmm.
my freshman year, at the end of my freshman year, he had elected me to be, we don't, again, no voting, it's up to the advisor through interviews and everything. He put me as vice president and never expected it. Honestly, when they were posting social media announcements, I thought I wasn't an officer because vice president and president are announced last. So I was
Right.
completely shocked. He took a leap of faith in me. That's the reason I applied for District 7 office.
Wow.
So it's like sometimes the things that you never think are going to happen. I
Yes.
literally thought to join. Yes, I will give, my mom's going to watch this. So I give a lot of credit to her for me joining because parents push you to do things. And also, I was thinking of going into medicine initially. So I never really even thought to do business.
Right.
But it's just crazy the connections that you get. So
I
I'm going to
agree.
talk about everything that you want to give advice on for these last few minutes and everything else that you want to say.
Okay. So, I was a very, very introverted person before I joined DECA. I was very, very introverted. I stayed in my comfort zone, stayed with the same people, did not go out and talk to other people. It was bad.
Mhm.
My parents were concerned, but I joined DECA and I was not expecting myself to go out. It took months. Like it didn't happen immediately. It's not going to happen immediately. You're not going to find that kind of result, that kind of impact that, Sarah and I are talking about immediately. You're going to have to go through months. You're going to have to put in the effort. But after a few months, when I finally got to talk to people through calls and stuff, it completely changed me. Like it changed me within DECA and outside of DECA. And so like I said, it's going to take some time. Nothing comes immediately. You're going to have to put in work. You're going to have to, I stayed up many nights doing many DECA things because, some DECA is something that I'm passionate about. So find what you're passionate about. If it's something that's not DECA, that's fine as well. But if it's DECA, find something in DECA that you're passionate about, hone in on to it. And so that's pretty much what it is for my DECA journey, because I believe that I see many people who are kind of introverted and stuff. They were like me before I joined DECA. I would see them at conferences and I'm like, it's fine. You're fine. You're all good. They say, I can never do this. How did you get this position? And I said, I just went for it. Like, if you're looking for a change, if you know that you want to change and that you're capable of change, then just go for it.
Right.
I know getting a association officer position, a district officer position, is a very intimidating thing. Not only the title, but also the work that comes with it. But just go for it. Go, because that's honestly the best way that you can make direct change. It's a great way because you get to work directly with your members. You get to start so many projects from different topics, from membership to advocacy. There's so many ways that you can make change. And I believe that DECA is one of the very few types of activities where you can do that. And
Student
so, yes, student led, exactly.
led. And yeah, that is literally the best part of it. I feel way more prepared in all of my classes, for instance, that I can actually go in there, be independent, do my work, be able to talk to my teacher very confidently. And many will say, how did DECA prepare you for that? And I will tell you that DECA gave me skills that I will use literally at any time, anywhere. And
For
it
sure.
is literally insane how it all comes together at the end. And, I'm a junior, technically have one more year left. I don't know what I'm going to do when this is all over. And I'm already thinking about that. You're a senior,
Me
aren't
too. I'm a senior and I really just like I'm thinking about how can I continue this kind of
you?
activity that I have here, these kind of connections into college,
Uh-huh.
because this is huge. This is like a really it's an unmatchable kind of activity to have, to not only sit there and make change, but also get to talk to other people who want to do the same thing. And so
Yeah,
yeah, I'm definitely putting that in mind whenever I research colleges, what do they have? Like how can I
absolutely.
do the
And
same
if they
thing?
don't, you better open your own chapter
Yes.
because that's very important. But it was amazing to speak with you. I'm going to hold you on here for
Same
one
here.
second after I end the video. But for all of you members that are watching at any level in any capacity, whether you're collegiate, whether you're just joining, even if you're in middle school and thinking about joining DECA, welcome. I'm so happy that you got the chance to listen to both of us speak. Now, this will be a series as of now. Don't quote me on this. Every other week, things happen, but we're going to try to get as many people as I possibly can that are interested in really wanting to share their experience with all of you. And Devika, you've been an amazing guest. So,
Thank you so much,
uh,
Sarah. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, DECA. Thank you so much.
go DECA. I'll go ahead and pause this and then I'll speak to you for a quick sec.